Every single day we watch modern news broadcasts, frantically reporting on skyrocketing inflation and the endless printing of fiat currency. We are conditioned to believe that this massive economic instability is a uniquely modern problem caused by complex contemporary financial systems. Therefore, we blindly trust that modern central bankers and highly educated economists possess the advanced mathematical tools necessary to peacefully fix our collapsing purchasing power. But the terrifying historical reality is that our modern economic crisis is an exact duplicate of a massive financial disaster that almost destroyed the Roman Empire during the 3rd century. The ancient emperors faced rapidly expanding military budgets and endless political crises that required massive amounts of fast cash. They realized they could not simply raise taxes high enough to cover their massive national debts without causing an instant, violent revolution in the streets. Therefore, they secretly began melting down the pure silver denarius and intentionally mixing it with cheap, useless metals to artificially multiply their national money supply. But the ancient citizens immediately recognized that their daily money was becoming completely worthless, and prices for basic goods exploded across the entire Mediterranean world. The Roman economy plunged into absolute chaotic hyperinflation, proving that the disastrous political habit of printing infinite money is actually a 2,000-year-old political disease. They created an economic nightmare that desperately needed a radical solution. When the Roman economy finally reached a breaking point, the Emperor Diocletian attempted a desperate economic experiment that modern politicians still dream about today. He genuinely believed that he could completely stop inflation simply by making high prices illegal through extreme political force. Therefore, he issued a massive universal law known as the Edict on Maximum Prices, which established a strict legal ceiling for every single good and service in the empire. He commanded that anyone who sold grain, meat, or clothing above the legally approved price would be immediately executed by the state. Therefore, the government assumed that the terrified merchants would simply obey the law and the devastating inflation would instantly vanish overnight. But the brutal laws of basic economics completely shattered the arrogant illusions of the Roman emperor. The merchants instantly realized that selling their valuable goods at the artificially low government prices would bankrupt them completely. Therefore, they simply refused to sell anything in the open legal markets and hid their valuable inventory. This massive government interference instantly created catastrophic shortages of basic food and caused massive black markets to explode across the entire empire. The violent price controls did not stop inflation, but rather destroyed the legal economy completely, proving that political decrees can never defeat the fundamental mathematics of supply and demand. Because the violent price controls failed so spectacularly, the next generation of Roman leadership realized they needed a completely different strategy to save the dying empire. Constantine the Great understood that the only way to stop hyperinflation was to completely restore public trust in the fundamental value of the currency itself. Therefore, he completely abandoned the corrupt system of debased silver coins and introduced a brand new, revolutionary piece of money called the Solidus. This was a heavy, pure gold coin with a completely strict and unchangeable weight that was brutally enforced by the highest levels of the imperial government. Therefore, anyone conducting high-level business or paying imperial taxes suddenly had an absolutely reliable unit of wealth that could not be magically diluted by corrupt politicians. But achieving this pristine gold standard was not simply a matter of designing a beautiful new coin. The emperor had to aggressively hoard massive amounts of physical gold through intense military conquests and the ruthless confiscation of wealth from pagan temples across the entire empire. He essentially forced the global economy to anchor itself to a physical reality that could not be manipulated by a printing press. This pure golden anchor instantly stabilized the massive imperial economy and successfully became the dominant global reserve currency for the next 1,000 years. We often look back at the incredible stability of the Roman gold solidus, and wonder why modern nations do not simply adopt the exact same pristine financial system. We assume that having perfectly stable hard money would instantly solve all of our modern economic suffering and create a perfect financial utopia. Therefore, we celebrate Constantine for discovering the ultimate economic cheat code that saved Western civilization from total financial collapse. But the brutal historical truth is that maintaining this flawless gold standard required a terrifying level of authoritarian control and massive human suffering. Because the government could no longer simply print fake money to pay its massive bills, it was forced to extract actual physical wealth from the population. Therefore, the Roman state unleashed a devastating and incredibly aggressive taxation system that completely crushed the working classes and poor farmers. The elite politicians and wealthy merchants enjoyed absolute price stability using their pure gold coins, while the average citizens were forced to survive using highly unstable copper tokens. The flawless gold standard absolutely saved the empire from total collapse, but it forced the government to operate with terrifying financial discipline. The politicians could no longer hide their massive debts behind inflation, which meant the citizens felt the direct, brutal pain of every single government expense immediately. This brutal, absolute financial transparency is the exact reason why modern global governments are completely terrified of the ancient Roman solution to inflation. Today, our political leaders survive by making massive, expensive promises to the public, while silently paying for those promises by continuously printing infinite amounts of fiat currency. Therefore, modern politicians absolutely love the hidden tax of inflation because it allows them to slowly drain the purchasing power of the citizens without ever having to officially raise taxes. But if a modern nation were forced to adopt a strict, unchangeable hard money standard like the Roman Solidus, the entire political illusion would instantly shatter. The government would be forced to actually balance its massive budgets and look the citizens in the eye when demanding real physical resources to fund their massive global projects. Therefore, modern economists constantly invent highly complex theories to justify their endless money printing, specifically to avoid the terrifying discipline of the ancient gold standard. We are currently repeating the exact same disastrous mistakes of the 3rd century Roman emperors by destroying our currency to fund our endless political ambitions. But the silent ruins of the Roman Forum stand as a permanent, unyielding warning to modern civilization. You can delay the economic consequences by printing fake money for a few decades, but eventually, the brutal mathematics of hard money will always win.